These are 10 SUVs that won't leave you struggling to climb in and out every single day. We measured their step-in heights, tested their door openings, and found the models that understand accessibility isn't just a nice feature, it's essential. If you've ever stood beside a modern SUV and wondered when getting into your own vehicle became such a physical challenge, you're not alone. The average SUV step-in height hovers around 18 inches, which feels comfortable for someone who's 5'10", but creates a genuine obstacle for anyone dealing with knee stiffness, hip issues, or simply the reality of aging bodies that don't bend and stretch like they used to. Here's what most people don't realize. That measurement from the ground to where your foot lands isn't arbitrary. It's the difference between sliding gracefully into your driver's seat and hauling yourself up like you're scaling a wall. When manufacturers chase rugged styling and off-road credibility, they often sacrifice the very accessibility that makes a vehicle livable for daily use. But some automakers get it right. They understand that step-in height is actually a precise science, and it should be roughly 2/3 of your natural step length. They know that a seemingly small increase from 18 to 21 inches represents a 15% jump that your knees and hips will absolutely notice. Most importantly, they recognize that the best SUV isn't the one that looks the most capable sitting in a showroom, it's the one you can actually use without discomfort every single day. Let's start with our most surprising winner, the Kia Soul. At just 15 to 16 inches depending on the trim, this boxy little crossover delivers the lowest step-in height of any SUV we tested. Jennifer Stockberger, Director of Operations at Consumer Reports Auto Test Center, emphasizes paying attention to the height and shape of the roofline, the door sill height and width, and tow room. The Soul excels in every category. What makes the Soul special isn't just that low entry point, it's the entire geometry. The upright design creates what owners describe as a walk-in feeling. The large door cutouts, tall roofline, and relatively low floor combine to eliminate the climbing sensation that plagues so many modern SUVs. The front seats sit higher than a traditional car but lower than the average crossover, hitting that sweet spot where getting in feels natural rather than athletic. The Soul's flat door sills deserve special mention. Many SUVs force you to step over a thick, raised threshold that can catch toes and create an additional obstacle. The Soul's minimal door sill means you're essentially stepping onto a level surface, then settling into your seat with minimal lift required. Coming in second, the Subaru Forester proves that good engineering can overcome physics. Despite sitting 8.7 inches off the ground higher than many competitors, the Forester achieves a step-in height of around 16 inches through clever packaging. But the real secret sauce lies in those door openings. The Forester boasts the widest, tallest doorways of any compact SUV, and that extra space translates directly into easier entry. You're not threading yourself through a narrow opening or ducking under a low roofline. The generous door geometry means less contortion, less precision required, and more forgiveness if your mobility isn't what it once was. Paul Snyder, chair of the Transportation Design Department at Detroit's College of Creative Studies, warns older drivers to pay attention to both step-in height and door frame thickness. The Forester excels on both counts, with minimal door frame intrusion and excellent visibility once you're inside, thanks to some of the largest windows in the class. The Honda CR-V takes third place with its approximately 16-inch step-in height, but what sets it apart is Honda's attention to the complete entry experience. The door handles are positioned for easy grip. The seats are positioned at what Stockberger calls the ideal height, roughly aligning with your posterior when standing, and the interior layout minimizes the need to stretch or strain once you're inside. Honda's philosophy shows throughout their lineup. They understand that accessibility isn't just about that initial step, it's about the entire sequence of movements required to get settled and comfortable. The CR-V's seat bolsters are supportive without being restrictive, the steering wheel adjusts through a wide range, and all the controls fall easily to hand. Fourth place goes to the Toyota Venza, with its 16.5-inch step-in height and what Toyota calls hip-height seating. This isn't marketing speak, it's biomechanics. When the seat bottom aligns roughly with your hip height while standing, getting out becomes a simple matter of swinging your legs out and standing up, rather than the awkward push and climb required with higher SUVs. The Venza's crossover design philosophy prioritizes daily usability over extreme capability. The result is a vehicle that feels substantial and elevated without creating barriers to entry. The door openings are wide enough for easy access, and the step-in process feels natural rather than forced. The Honda Pilot earns 5th place despite being a much larger vehicle. Here's where Honda's commitment to accessibility really shines. They've managed to keep the step-in height manageable even in a 3-row SUV. One Pilot owner with a pregnant wife noted that running boards weren't necessary because the car is low enough that the average person can just step out. He only added them for his 5'2" wife, highlighting how the Pilot serves a wide range of users without modification. The Pilot's wide door openings make accessing all 3 rows relatively easy, and the second-row captain's chairs slide forward with minimal effort, creating a clear path to the 3rd row. For families dealing with multiple generations of varying mobility levels, the Pilot proves that size doesn't have to mean inaccessibility. 6th place belongs to the Volkswagen Taos, which combines generous door openings with one of the roomiest interiors in its class. The Taos demonstrates that accessibility can coexist with European sophistication. The large windows provide excellent outward visibility, crucial for drivers dealing with reduced neck mobility, and all controls are positioned within easy reach. The 7th spot goes to the Honda HR-V, the smallest SUV on our list but one that punches above its weight in accessibility terms. The large door openings relative to the vehicle's overall size create an almost car-like entry experience while maintaining the elevated seating position that many drivers prefer. For urban dwellers dealing with tight parking spaces, the HR-V proves that you don't need to sacrifice easy access for maneuverability. The Nissan Rogue claims 8th place with its wide-opening doors and 8.2 inches of ground clearance that translates to a reasonable step-in height. Nissan zero-gravity seats, inspired by NASA research, provide excellent support without making exit more difficult. The continuously variable transmission eliminates the lurching that can make getting situated more challenging. 9th place goes to the Hyundai Tucson, which achieves its accessibility through low overall height rather than clever engineering tricks. With just 6.7 inches of ground clearance, the Tucson sits closer to the ground than most competitors, naturally reducing the step-in requirement. The trade-off is slightly reduced off-road capability, but for the vast majority of drivers, that's a worthwhile exchange. Rounding out our top 10 is the Toyota RAV4, with its 16.5-inch door sill height and elevated but accessible seating position. The RAV4 represents the mainstream approach to SUV accessibility, not the lowest, not the most accommodating, but competent and widely available. Toyota's reliability reputation means this accessibility will likely persist through years of ownership. Now, what about the vehicles that didn't make our list? The contrasts are telling. Take the Mazda CX-30, which forces taller drivers into what one reviewer called a drop-down and scoot-in motion. Despite being one of the most refined and sporty crossovers available, its beautiful design creates what the same reviewer termed a physical inconvenience for anyone valuing ease of entry. The Ford Bronco, with its 22 to 25-inch step-in height depending on trim and tire size, represents the extreme end of form over function. Sure, it's incredibly capable off-road, but that capability comes at the cost of daily usability for anyone dealing with mobility challenges. This highlights the fundamental tension in modern SUV design. The push toward more aggressive styling, higher ground clearance, and truck-like proportions often conflicts with basic human ergonomics. The vehicles on our list succeed because they prioritize the human element without completely abandoning SUV functionality. But step-in height is just the beginning. The width of door openings, the thickness of door sills, the positioning of grab handles, and the height and firmness of seats all contribute to overall accessibility. Some manufacturers are going further with technology solutions. Power running boards that automatically deploy when doors open can lower effective step-in height by several inches. Air suspension systems can drop vehicles closer to the ground when parked. Weston's Pro E power running boards, for example, automatically lower when doors open and raise when closed, providing the best of both worlds: reduced step-in height when needed, maximum ground clearance when driving. These aren't cheap additions, but for drivers dealing with significant mobility challenges, they can be transformative. The implications extend beyond individual comfort. Jennifer Stockberger notes that proper accessibility provides the ability to get into or out of a car without crouching or climbing. This isn't just about convenience, it's about safety. Struggling to enter or exit a vehicle increases fall risk, creates fatigue, and can lead to avoiding necessary trips. For seniors specifically, the choice of vehicle can determine independence. A step-in height that requires significant effort or creates anxiety about falling can gradually restrict mobility, leading to decreased social engagement and reduced quality of life. The vehicles on our list offer a different path, one where transportation remains a tool for freedom rather than a barrier to overcome. Interestingly, some of the most accessible vehicles aren't SUVs at all. Minivans like the Honda Odyssey, Toyota Sienna, and Kia Carnival offer sliding doors that eliminate tight space maneuvering, lower floor heights, and walk-through interiors. The stigma around minivans has softened considerably as buyers recognize their practical advantages. The future looks promising for accessible SUV design. As the population ages and awareness grows, manufacturers are beginning to prioritize these features earlier in the design process rather than treating them as afterthoughts. Some concept vehicles showcase seats that swivel outward to ease entry, and advanced air suspension systems that can dramatically alter ride height. But today, you don't need to wait for future technology. The 10 SUVs we've highlighted prove that accessibility and capability can coexist. From the Kia Soul's walk-in simplicity to the Honda Pilot's 3-row accommodation, these vehicles understand that the best SUV is the one you can actually use comfortably. The choice ultimately comes down to your specific needs, budget, and preferences. But at least now you know that struggling to get into your own vehicle isn't inevitable. With careful selection, your SUV can remain a source of freedom and independence rather than a daily physical challenge. The measurements don't lie, the engineering solutions exist, and the options are available. The only question is whether you're ready to prioritize your comfort and mobility over marketing promises of off-road capability you'll likely never need. Because at the end of the day, the most important journey your SUV will ever make is the one that gets you safely and comfortably from point A to point B, every single day, without turning the simple act of getting into your own vehicle into a test of endurance. These 10 SUVs pass that test. They understand that true capability isn't just about conquering mountains, it's about conquering the everyday challenges of real life, one easy step at a time.